the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Running, jumping, music bumping. Catch me creeping through the cut. Fire burning from my junk, smoking out while pulling stunts. I won't stop, so don't confront. Too much about to be a grunt. Watch my back and off the front. You drop it off, I pick it up. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Catch me creeping through the cut. All time say I'm dangerous. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Running, jumping, music bumping. Catch me creeping through the cut. Busted trying to stop my son. All time say I'm dangerous. Nervousness from within you. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop. Running, jumping, music bumping. Catch me creeping through the cut. Busted trying to stop my son. All time say I'm dangerous. Nervousness from within you. Cutting game just like a Ginsu. Funk inside my evil thoughts. I'm waiting on the money drop.
We will get through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been through this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is
you condemn white supremacy. And he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And he said, well,
Ronald Reagan was too
if you want to really see something that's said, take a look what happened.
I want to take this message to talk to your viewers real quick about the story, the conversation we need to have now. The BOP is wasting lots of tax dollars in frivolous spending, and
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you that are here, it's a beautiful Sunday here in the sunny state of South Florida where I am at. And you know what? I could not be having a better of a day. I just left church with my amazing fiance. It was all great. It was all good. But it doesn't take off what's been on my mind. And something has been on my mind for quite some time. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse as the days go on, and I keep getting reminded every single day of where we're at in America and where we are going. And I I I see things in the media, I see things on social media, and all of you see it too. And the teen takeovers, the cultural battles that we've been having since long before Trump took office. I mean, a lot of us can make the argument that race relations in this country really got bad under Obama's administration, but I'm going to digress. The things we're seeing in America is bringing us closer and closer to what I believe and what I see is just a dangerous tipping point, one in which American patriots, white people, and black people that love this country, where we're going to get tied in as the villain no matter what. The scene has been set under the Obama administration, and I want to relate it and juxtapose it to what we saw recently come out with the SPLC. The SPLC, as a lot of you know, were funding right wing extremists and right wing extremism so they can go back to their donors essentially and ask for more money. You guys know the story. There's no reason to go over it. But when you look at what's happening, you see let's isolate in on a group called the Groypers. We all know who they are. Maybe some of you guys are watching. Overwhelmingly, Groypers are young white men that I believe, and I could be wrong with this, but I believe that overwhelmingly they grew up in a period in America where their parents weren't raising them to be racist. Their parents were raising them to be tolerant inside of an ever-changing America where I believe the black community overwhelmingly, not all, but most, were teaching their children the complete opposite. For a long time, these kids have been bastardized. These white kids, God forbid I say it, these white kids have been bastardized, told that they were the problem with America, told that they were racist no matter what they did and how hard they tried. And they weren't this. But what I see happening more and more is this creeping over to a far right side than they ever intended on being, pushed by elements of the left-wing agenda. And it's becoming a little scary. You know, we saw recently the group Patriot Front march through DC, right? They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't cause any violence. You may have seen the image come out of the black woman, a fucking crackhead, sitting on a train peacefully, not in any harm. And of course, it went viral, tried to be used as a left as some kind of propaganda tool to paint the white nationalist as being dangerous. However, that was the safest that woman has probably been in years, but whatever. Then you've seen a group of black nationalists marching through the streets of I don't fucking know where with guns, their constitutional right to do so. I support it. And of course, you had some people on the right, not many, but some people on the right flipping out about that. And it brought me to this idea, you know, of tribalism and why I think black tribalism is essentially bullshit in most of the senses, and how white tribalism, while I believe it was forgotten for a long time and just left alone, it's almost necessary. right now. And I know that sounds bad and scary. And what am I actually advocating for? And it's definitely not white supremacy. We've been labeled that over and over and over again, mostly by left wing media pundits for years now, to the point where it actually has no effect on most of us. And I think that's a good place to be. But we have been shamed for so long as white men from even congregating with one another, hanging out with one another, celebrating the achievements of our forefathers. And even the slightest mention in the wrong crowd of being proud of Thomas Jefferson, the things he did, can get you ostracized and bastardized by groups of people who don't even understand the own history on the land in which they live. That is the America that we live in now. And I all there's so many different examples that you can get into of how this sucks and how this used to be this way, and none of that matters. Why we got to this point, how we got to this point, is a dangerous tool that society has been using, mainly the left wing, and we do it on the right as well. And it's the pedestal. The pedestal has become the most dangerous thing for culture, for America, for women, for relationships, for white men, for black men, all of it. Putting things on a fucking pedestal, these these earthly made man-made ideals and man-made things that we so often put on a pedestal. I mean, a prime example in recent years is Lizzo. Lizzo. We used to live in a world where fat shaming was just part of culture, because being fat and overweight and obese is unhealthy. I myself used to be fat and overweight and unhealthy. And some can make the case that maybe I still am. But we're putting it on a fucking pedestal. And why are we doing this? Nobody's trying to influence adults. Most adults either are already influenced or you cannot influence them. They are going after children when with influence campaigns every single time. We put Lizzo up. I believe this bitch got a fucking Grammy or whatever the fuck on this pedestal, and told her to be proud of herself and shame people for making comments about her, right? And glorified this unhealthy way of being, especially for women. And in particular, black women. They suffer more from diabetes and heart disease. According to them, it's because of fucking racism. It has nothing to do with, the EBT sponsored 24 pack of fucking ho-hos they wolf down for breakfast. But I digress once again. I'll probably be doing that whole digression a lot here today, because I got so many different fucking things on my mind, and they don't really have much to do with the point, although they can tie in. So this liberal acceptance of the pedestal, putting things on the pedestal, is another trickle and downfall. Is you can look at the black community as what we see it today, and you see the same thing. It was the pedestal that destroyed this community. It created hip hop culture. It created the glorification of the thug, the gangster, the badass. And it goes further back than just that. So don't think that this is getting pinned on black people, because I'll make the fucking case right now. It wasn't black people that did this. It was mostly white liberals and liberalism. And you can see that going down back in history, but we'll get there in a second. So we've got the pedestal, putting this gangster on it, and glorifying it for America to look at, to the point now where we have genres of hip hop music called murder music, where these kids are running out in the fucking street and offing each other in record breaking numbers, writing music songs about it. It's being put on a pedestal on Spotify and YouTube and all this shit. These children are downloading it. And then what makes it worse is this reoccurring event of just degeneracy. These mothers that birth these children, that make this murder rap and murder music, are going into the club on the weekend. You got Shaniqua, Quatifa, and Shaquanda shaking their ass in the club to the music that their children are writing songs about murdering their other children. This is what the pedestal has done. It has glorified such evil and nasty fucking things in our society and told us that these things are good, to the point now when we see these these violent, horrific things happen in society that it's almost normalized. And one has to look no further than the recent situation with the Carmelo Anthony case. It wasn't the case itself. I don't believe that a young black kid woke up that morning and said, "You know what? I'm going to go kill a white person," much like we saw with Irina Zarutska on the fucking train. This didn't happen here. This was just an idiot kid who glorified hip hop culture, who had parents that glorified hip hop culture, that didn't see red flags in their child's behavior, and allowed this to permeate in his everyday life, from the music he listened to how he talked, who he hung out with, what he looked up to, whom he looked up to. The parents from the same culture had no problem with that. So when Carmelo went to school, what was challenged with "you gotta move," Carmelo was looking at it as, "I'm being punked out. I can't have that there." And he stabbed this kid to death, right? But that's not the issue. That was an unfortunate situation involving a young kid who made a bad decision. But look at the response from the community. Look at the response from white liberal media. Look at the continued response from the community. It's embarrassing. It's fucking disgusting. It can be painful. Not at the isolated situation of the Carmelo Anthony case, but looking into the future, knowing that posterity can't be had with an idealistic mind frame that is so tainted with poisonous culture and criminality that putting the tribalistic black and white shit down for a second isn't even feasible for an overwhelming majority of the population. Not all. There was many clear thinking, normal black people that condemn the actions of Carmelo Anthony. Once again, this is not about black and white. It's about putting things on a pedestal. If we didn't do this as a society, then you wouldn't have the Wigger. You wouldn't have Brandon with his cornrows and his 32 gold teeth, face tattoos, can't understand a fucking word he's going out of his way not to fucking say. The son of a bitch was born in Bradenton, okay, in suburbia, but somehow has this culture identity. How did it get there? How did we get there where legions of these Wiggers are adopting this culture, one that they much really didn't help establish other than buying the music and making these idiots go platinum, once again, putting them back on the pedestal? How did we get there? It's the pedestal. The glorification of just disgusting degeneracy that we normalize in our own very lives. How many women out there have daughters? How many men out there have daughters that knowingly have a 14-year-old daughter themselves? A very vulnerable time for a young woman where she's developing her, she's hormonal, she's learning things about the world, she's learning things about men, she's learning things about love and heartbreak, and these are all new elements in life to her. How many of these people knowingly have a daughter in that situation and allow her and encourage her and have no problem with her listening to the likes of Cardi B? Do you understand the damage that normalizing the lyrics of some disgusting human being like Cardi B and letting it permeate onto your daughter will have on her? I mean, I would imagine that the people listening now, most of you, if not all of you, understand how dangerous and toxic it is. Doesn't it seem like it's by design? Almost evil? Who would have such an evil plan to normalize such degeneracy and allow our daughters and our sons to grow up and push it back on their kids and their daughters? What kind of entity, what kind of thing would actually do that and support it? It makes you wonder. You've got these rappers, NBA Youngboy, that most of his lyrics are talking about murdering people. We've got this degenerate piece of shit down here in Broward County where I'm from. What's his fucking name? YWN Melly, YNW Melly or something. He's been on trial for 6 years. He had a mistrial. They should actually let this kid out on bond because he had a mistrial. But nonetheless, He clearly set up his two friends after leaving a recording studio and murdered them. He killed his friends over some fucking record dispute. I don't know. Some fucking hip hop shit. You know what his number one hit song is called? Murder on My Mind. That's the title of the song. Murder on My Mind. I wonder how he got involved in this murder case. I wonder if it was, would one say, the culture? And see, we've got to a point now where me and my white skin, just me saying the things I'm saying and having the fucking audacity to come out and speak to people and say these things and say my opinions, I'm already a white supremacist. I'm a racist. There's nothing I can do about that except keep my opinions to my fucking self, right? Don't say those things. We have glorified degenerates so long that crime is now normal. We don't have a problem with people shitting in the fucking streets in our cities. We don't have a problem with Sharia law popping up everywhere. We're just so fucking passive because criminality has been put on a pedestal in front of us for so long. And you think it started with the hip hop culture? Oh, fuck no. We had Prohibition era. The mobsters, the gangsters, the Tommy guns, the car explosions. Some of the best fucking movies we watched to date are mobster movies. Has America always had this obsession for glorifying the villain? Has it been part of our culture? Or is it something in a practice that was installed in us that we weren't brave enough or not ignorant enough to stand up to? I mean, going back further than Prohibition and mobster gangster shit. You got the Wild West, Jesse James, Cowboys and Indians. Maybe we should play Cowboys and Ghetto People. See how that works out. Again, I digress. Sex has been put on a pedestal. Once again, I think a lot of it can be blamed on hip hop culture. We have now running for Congress down here in the great state of South Florida is Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell. For those of you that may not know, Luther Campbell founded a group called Two Live Crew. And Two Live Crew was one of the first bands ever to be banned in America. They were actually, I think, part of the reason the parental advisory sticker was put on labels. I think NWA and them, if I'm not mistaken. So this individual, Luther Campbell, is now running for Congress down here in Florida. He's running against Debbie Wasserman Ramen Noodle Schultz. And this individual has some of the most disgusting, distasteful music, just shitting on women is basically his entire fucking career. All right. And he's running for Congress, and there has been no amends made by this man for the songs that he's written, the culture that he's permeated. If you give me a second, I'm trying to fix my mic. I did hear your request here. And this individual is now running for Congress. And what are we doing about this? America doesn't even have a fucking problem with it. They don't even see an issue with a fucking degenerate like Luther Campbell running for Congress in their country. Why? Because the pedestal. Even if you don't listen to hip hop music, even if you don't glorify it or get into that culture, most of these liberal white women in this very white liberal district, it's part of this area called Parkland, Florida. If you know anything about Parkland, it's where that very sad and unfortunate situation happened at Douglas High School with that mass shooting. But it's a lot of wealthy people. I mean, there's multi-million-dollar properties there, and you got Luther Campbell running, and nobody seems to be batting an eye that once upon a time, this guy wrote entire songs about running trains on women, about having orgies, about fucking this and fucking that. The my dick shit that we see so often out of this culture, a lot of it can be blamed on Luther Campbell. The legacy he has built for his community and his people is Two Live Crew, Luke Skywalker Records. Now, great, glorify the entrepreneur. If you make money, that's fine. But now you're getting into politics. You are now cementing your run for Congress in the United States of America with a legacy that has made women into complete degenerates. You have made a legacy and a life off of glorifying orgies and dogpiling dicks into women. That's your legacy, bro. And the problem isn't Luther Campbell running for Congress. The problem is what I just said, that nobody seems to have an issue with it. Too afraid to be called a racist because you have the audacity to go to a congressional debate and say, "Hey, Luther Campbell, do you have any question? Do you have any comments about some of the lyrics you wrote in the past?" No, God forbid. You don't want to be a white lady from Parkland, Florida, and go question a black man. The pedestal. Putting degeneracy on a fucking pedestal has caused this. It has removed our spine from us. It's removed our guts from us because we still perceive somehow that this glorification of these fucking animals is somehow good or normal, or we have to be tolerant. It's just not part of our culture. It's destroying theirs and ours because we are America together. This notion that white men like myself that have a problem with the things I aforementioned are somehow white supremacist or want black people out of the country. Those thoughts don't cross my mind. And while I do associate with people that may have a different opinion about with me, I don't blame them. Look back at the Groypers. Look at Charlie Kirk. Look at the degenerate reaction from the left after he was assassinated. Look at the things they said, the things they did. Why? The glorification of criminality. That horrific, disgusting murder that we saw, they glorified it. You don't think this music glorification, this pedestal, this putting murderers on pedestals has anything to do with it? It has everything to fucking do with it. But look at the response. Charlie was willing to sit down and have a conversation with people. He was willing to anywhere, anytime, let's have a bait. You could insult him and he wouldn't insult you back. They're not going to like who comes after Charlie. And there will be one. These fucking Nick Fuentes fans, these Groypers, they're not stupid kids. They've been paying attention. And much like all of us on the right, and I hope more of us get here faster, we've been desensitized. The labels of white supremacist, bigot, transphobe, homophobe, this phobe, that phobe, they have no effect on us. What's it now? Pedophile protector? The new one? The shit doesn't fucking work. And these Groypers coming up, these kids that are shedding their fear of the left's inappropriate labeling them as a racist every time they speak up and speak out against something that doesn't fit their views. It's like an alligator. Down here in Florida, we have water puppies, alligators. Alligators are overall extremely docile and don't want nothing to do with you. The only reason they become unafraid of humans to the point where they get close enough to want to attack you, the number one cause of that is humans feeding them. They lose their natural fear of humans. They no longer run from you. Their amygdala no longer takes over and puts them into a flight mode. Their amygdala has been retrained to no longer fear the human. So what happens? One day they meet somebody that doesn't know this alligator. They don't know the difference between some idiot that was feeding them and some innocent woman walking her dog. And she gets attacked. That's what's going on with a mass generation of young, in particular, white men in this country right now. They're vastly losing their fear, and they are going to start biting. They've been bastardized. They've been shamed. They've been talked down to, told that they're the problem, and they're not giving up. Like Luke Skywalker, Luther Campbell, they're going to run for office as well. And they're not going to be like Charlie. They're not going to sit down and have a conversation with you. They're not going to They're not going to talk. They're just going to act because they don't have that fear. They don't have that fear of you calling them a racist. They're going to bite you. And they're not going to do it physically. They're not going to do it with machine guns and radical low IQ fucking behavior. They're going to be smart about it. They're going to take over cities. They're going to take over colleges. They're going to take over districts, city councils, school boards. And for one, I hope it happens. Because we've been so tolerant for so long that our entire country, our entire culture has been taken from us. And for the most part, we just handed it over. We handed it over because we believe that we're being tolerant or somehow accepting by accepting other cultures or other forms of cultures that don't belong to us. That somehow we have to do that in order to become a melting pot, but we don't. A melting pot becomes one. We have a fucking paella. We have all these different things that don't collaborate, and we're just told to accept it. How dare you speak up? How dare you say anything? You better just accept it. I don't want to become London. I don't want to become England. I don't want to become the UK. It's gone because they just accept it. And I don't think that was ever part of the American way. To just sit down, shut up, and accept it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the midterms coming up. And I do highly recommend, even though there is a massive fatigue, not just culturally, but also politically, that you show up. Because it may not feel like it, but I do feel that the American people are winning. We have not won. We have a long way to go. And this fight is not over. So for that, I am out. Thank you for tuning in to this rant. Don't accept bullshit. Don't accept trash as culture. Don't accept degeneracy as something that you need to be a part of. Rise above, be better. Thank you for tuning in.
We will get through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been to this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is
You condemn white supremacy. And he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And they said, well,
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. blew a $29
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened